Welcome everybody on Wednesday today for our fourth workshop from the Eden Smith Nurture Programme, and today's workshop is all about how to build your profile and good practice with your CV. So we're kind of zooming in on good habits for your professional profile and how to help you construct your CV. So today the agenda, we're going to keep it kind of like nice and sort of punchy. So what we're going to be exploring is, how to become a data scientist. Although we don't have any kind of like bona fide kind of golden, we've got some golden nuggets for you, but we don't have the key to the door. You need to do the work as well, but we're definitely here to support you. We're going to be exploring like your CV. Eden Smith are also a staffing house as well, so we work in data recruitment. So we've also gone back to our internal team to get some feedback from them. We've also got our CEO, Jez Clark, and co-founder of Eden Smith. He's going to share his thoughts with you and hopefully give you a little bit of a boost. We're also going to be talking about LinkedIn and using LinkedIn to the best of your abilities. Some tips and tricks to managing an online professional profile. And then we've also got Krista, who's joined us, who is our marketing manager, and she's going to give you some worldly wisdom from her plethora of experience in marketing and brand management on how to become a LinkedIn leader. So no pressure, Krista. And then we've also got some question time allocated for you to kind of like put your mic on and then ask us some questions. So becoming a data scientist, this is like your target, right, is to get into a data science role. And, we've got, we suggest that, there are things that you are already doing that are helping you on this path. Are we on the next slide? So, the questions, like how do you become a data scientist? So you're already, doing the right thing, you're getting yourself educated, you're doing your master's in data science, which is great. And you're also building your statistical foundation to develop the comprehension of the technologies which you're learning, which the University of Salford are, brilliant at delivering. So well done for getting started. And there are some things that we can suggest that, that you could be doing other things. So attending webinars and conventions. So recently we were at Big Data London conference in London. And there was also a conference not so long ago, a couple of weeks ago in Manchester, set up by Peak, which I know some of the alumni and maybe some of this cohort attended as well. And we want you to always, like I've got a hashtag, always learning. So always continue to kind of chase learning opportunities because we want you to be, really committed to doing this program, but also, kind of like adding on to your skills whilst you're learning at university. So there's a plethora of kind of opportunities through LinkedIn. As students, you get access to LinkedIn Learning. There's also courses on Udemy and Coursera that you can, apply yourself to. Networking and connecting with professionals to expand your opportunities. So also being part of conversations on LinkedIn, which kind of goes into, using the professional platforms like GitHub, also to kind of showcase your work is a really, really important thing that you can start doing now. We've all asked you to send your GitHub link on your profile, and this is one of the first places that employers will go to when they receive your applications for your projects. They'll go onto GitHub to see your code. So the projects that you're doing at university, you can pop them on there, but also your side projects, really important that, because some of you are freshers in the world of data science. So you need to do everything and more that you can to really demonstrate your abilities even if it's not in the working world, in the kind of virtual world that you've been on, that you've got a data set and you've had a go at tuffling, at tackling, sorry, a really tough challenge, and there are really some interesting data sets that you can showcase yourself on.
So we're going to be talking a little bit now about your CV, and this stands for your curriculum vitae, also known as your resume for those who have learned English the American way. But what that's Latin for is the course of one's life. And it really is a window into who you are as a professional and who you are as a person as well. Some of the things that you might be including in your CV here, and we've got these headings and what these delve into and tangent off into really can be a little bit more and bulkier on your CV than others. So your relevant experience. So if you're applying for a data science role, then it is okay to include your part-time role that you might have at Starbucks, because there'll still be relevant experience in terms of stakeholder management, in terms of reporting and monitoring that you can still include in that capacity to pass on. Your education history, so what you studied, where you studied, and when you studied that. Your certificates and awards. This might be a hackathon. This might be, as Lucy's already mentioned, with Coursera, with LinkedIn Learning, with Udemy, additional courses that you've studied to increase your foundation knowledge and increase your capacity to be able to deliver that role as well. Your About You section, so a little bit more about you as a person. That will link down into our last one there of hobbies and interests. So what it is that you like to do when you're outside of your work. And that might be some personal projects as well. Lucy's already mentioned again the links to platforms showcasing your work. So GitHub, something that we've spoken to many of you about why that's important to be on your profile for. But you also might have a YouTube channel, you know, that's a great way of demonstrating how you operate as a professional as well. And the other skills, what other skills are you going to be bringing to the table for that job, for that company? So as part of Eden Smith, we have our staffing arm, and we've been able to touch into and tap into their knowledge as to the CVs that they deal with on a daily basis and the candidates that they speak to on a daily basis. What we get from them was that actually, when we look at the ideal length for a CV, a vast majority have said that 2 pages, that's 6 people have said this really allows you to include a lot of the details and what we have discussed in the above part in terms of the sections that you would include in your CV as well. And when we look here actually at some of the things that might not be the best to include in your CV and the things to look out for, you can see here that grammar and punctuation from all of our staffing team was the real key element. It was voted for as the first choice as the one of the aspects that is always not greatest to see on a CV. It was voted for 50% of the choices that grammar and punctuation is something they don't want to see. So if English is a second language for you, then you might be able to use websites like Grammarly to be able to help you out with your grammar and punctuation when you are writing your CV. It's important to soundboard that with other people who might be able to provide some feedback on points there as well. And when we look at all the other areas here, our inconsistent formatting, the length of the CV, unprofessional photos, irrelevant work experience, and tables and boxes, they're all other elements that don't necessarily add towards an award-winning CV that's going to be getting you that job that you've applied for there as well. So we're moving on here then to what elements of a CV are most important. Now, we've touched on some of these already. If we do look at the staffing feedback, we have demonstrable experience. Now, what that means is that actually you've had an element of your career or any work to date that matches the requirements of the role that you are applying for. You can also see there that a personal bio was the second highest rated. And then you've got your education history as the third highest rated element of a CV. That is the most important as well. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to read all of these CV bad habits off here. But when we do send this presentation across to you after this and we send you the recording, guys, we'd encourage you to take a look at this element. But a lot of our staffing team are all on the same line in terms of some of the bad habits that they see in CVs regularly, that perhaps are turn-offs for recruiters and employers. And you can see there straight away that poor grammar, spelling mistakes and poor formatting is something that's shared across everyone's feedback there. But where we have bad habits, we also have good habits. And again, we'll give you guys the opportunity to be able to read through these in detail and take away some of these points when you are constructing your CV or you're putting your profile form together again. So I'm going to hand back over to Lucy.
Hi, thanks, Nick. I'd like to introduce you to Jez Clark, who is our co-founder and CEO of Eden Smith Group, who's my boss. He's wonderful. I joined the business 5 years ago and been working with Jez ever since. And he would like to just spend a few minutes to talk to you and give some words of wisdom and some golden nuggets that he's got with his kind of years of working in the staffing industry. And also, more importantly, he works and engages with, some very, very large clients across the globe. And I think he's got some great insights to kind of share with you on what employers would like to see in interviews, good practice, and how you can present yourself. So I'll hand over to you, Jez. Jez, are you there? Oh, that's a bit tricky.
Looked like his screen froze. He's probably just going out and coming back in. But does anyone have any questions while we're waiting for Jez to join on what we've discussed so far?
Guys, do you want me to jump in and move the cells up?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we'll change the order because I think Jez is having some technical issues. So we will now talk about LinkedIn and Krista, who'll give you a 101 on how to get noticed, build connections, and build upon your personal brand. So over to you, Krista.
Thank you very much. So firstly, hello and welcome. I just wanted to do a quick run through with you so that you can think about why it's important to build up your brand on LinkedIn and also give you some little insights into how to do it. It does take time and it's not an instant gratification, which we're also used to now. So it is something that once you start, you don't just want to give up after a few weeks or a few months. It's something that you need to consistently do. And sometimes it can take years before you really see the full value. But the reasons why you should bother and why you should stick with it and not just turn your back on it is because it will help improve your buy-in and trust within the data community. That's going to help whether it's internal or external in order to help build up that cultural change within an organisation that you're working with, where people can see why data is so relevant and they can see how it's going to add value to their role wherever they are within the company. It's also really good to make yourself visible and front of mind for career progression, and that's whether you're going to go for internal career progression or looking for that external next role. Sorry, and got the wrong bit in there. So don't concern yourself with the data, and I know I'm talking to data scientists here, but when you're looking at the data of how many likes and how many comments and how many shares that you're getting, that's distracting you from your purpose. Your purpose there is to build your community, and that rest of that stuff will come with time. So at the moment, just commit to being consistent. Right, so your starting points, stand out from the crowd by being you. Think about what you're interested and be genuine about what you're talking about. You'll see someone else having amazing success and going viral, and if you try to copy that, you'll not necessarily be able to repeat that success. So find your voice and be genuine to who you are. And that way you'll have much better results because you're being consistent in your approach. People can see when you're being someone else. Be proactive, engage with your network, follow relevant hashtags and follow relevant groups. And that way you'll kind of find your space. You're also going to be learning whilst you're doing it. Networking is about establishing and nurturing long-term mutually beneficial relationships. It's not about that instant moment. It's not about jumping from person to person, but about developing those relationships so they actually have something meaningful. And that goes back to being really genuine about what you're saying and how you're saying it. So get to know the data professionals, get to know people within your own community, within your own companies, and build those relationships by commenting on their posts. Be a mover and shaker in your industry, add value or add personality to your posts and comments. So let people see a bit about yourself, share insights, share news within your community, share what you're doing. Networking will help you develop and improve your skill set because you're going to be learning whilst you're doing your research and sharing it in your community. So it ensures that you're staying on top of the latest trends. And what that does is it shows your community that you are still learning, that you're moving forward, that you're someone to really keep an eye on. But it is a two-way street. So make sure that you get involved with the other people's posts as well. Take interest and support people, increase their reach on their posts, and they will take an interest in you. So a simple like takes no time or thought, although other reactions will spark a better algorithm. So if you're going for the laugh emoji, if you're going for the curious, the insights, it will create more reactions and therefore more reach with your posts. When you comment on someone else's post, it's 4 times better than liking their post. When you make it 5 words, it goes up to 8% for the person that you're commenting for, but it also increases your reach by 6%. So that's something to think about as well. Every time you're liking and commenting, you're visible to more people, and you're going to naturally, organically increase your own network as well. So share relevant news from connections and across the industry, and that will demonstrate that you're actively learning. Join relevant groups, offer support, advice, ideas and inspiration. Just making sure that you keep politics and too much personal opinion right out of it, because that can be really divisive. And then I just wanted to finish up and leave you with this screen. There's lots of sort of little writing on here, so it'll be a good one to take a little look back. But if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, I've just pulled out some of the kind of bigger key stats for you. So the best time to post is typically between 8 and 10 in the morning. Tuesday, Thursdays and Saturdays are having the most interactions at the moment. This changes, but at the moment, this is what's relevant. Optimum post length is 1200 to 2000 characters. That's looking at about 3 short paragraphs. And if you can include 3 to 5 hashtags, you're going to increase your reach as well. Comments versus likes, I've already pulled that out on the previous ones. It's just there reiterated because it's really important. And the frequency of what you do, it's all about being consistent. So if you do 1 time a week, stick to 1 time a week until you've got that capability to do 2 or 3, but build it up. If you do 3 one week and then you do none the next week, you will be penalised a little bit. So it's about being consistent and planning what you're going to say over time. And if you want some kind of thoughts and inspiration, that got questions about what type of content you can put out there, feel free to ask your questions. Stop sharing my screen now.
Thanks, Krista. That was amazing. And I didn't know that about the 5 words or more on the comment. increased your reach by 8%. So that was amazing. I'll definitely be saying more than thanks.
Yeah. Here's your
Great
emoji.
post. Yeah, great post. So yeah, I need to say at least 5 words or more. So that's great. Jez, your connection is back on. You up? Yeah.
Hi guys, it's been a little bit, yeah, I've had to restart about 3 times just to try and get on the call, but I have been capturing certain information. My preference would be to let you guys just crack on for a bit, and then I'll get this sorted a bit better and then come on perhaps at about 10 to 11. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Jez.
All right, brilliant. But we'll keep this running in the background anyway to make sure everything's working okay.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Sam. Okay, so yeah, so please, if you've got any questions or thoughts about Krista's input, which I found really insightful, please do throw that into the chat or raise your hand if you want to ask a question. And so, you know, LinkedIn, you know, is the world's largest professional network on the internet. And actually, I'll let you into a little secret. This is actually how I found my job with Eden Smith. So not many people know this, but probably hundreds will know this more after today. So yes, so somebody actually looked at my profile, another person called Lucy, who used to work with Eden Smith, and she looked at my profile, and on the analysis on your profile, you can see who's viewed your profile. So I went back, had a look at her, and she worked for this little startup called Eden Smith, and I sent her a message saying, oh, thanks for looking at my profile. I wonder if you have any opportunities. So I was looking for a job, but I was a bit scared. I had been working, I'd been looking after my kids, taken 5 years out, raising my kids, and was a little bit shell-shocked about going back into the world of work. And I kind of thought actually LinkedIn might be a gentle place to start. So I reached out to her, and then she said, oh, actually, our co-founders, Matt and Jez, might want to have a call with you. And then I guess the rest is history. They fell in love and said, yep, let's get you in to build part of our business. And then we called it Nurture. And then I guess the rest is, you know, what we've been doing in the last 5 years. So I found my job and I found my place and my purpose on LinkedIn. And I guess it was like serendipitous that that's how it happened. So building your profile, being, you know, a human being, and there's not going after the fast wins. This is not being a content creator and going viral like Krista has mentioned. It's all about, you know, finding your tribe and the people that make you happy and that you feel really comfortable with, and creating that community and those people that you can trust is really, really important. And it also allows you to...
Sorry to interrupt. I think someone had a question. I don't know if it's to do with the LinkedIn aspect.
Yeah, Chickadilly, you had your hand up. Feel free to throw that mic on and ask your question.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I wanted to ask, with respect to the CV, is it okay we also include the LinkedIn profile on the CV? Then you also mentioned that we should put a GitHub link on the CV. Where exactly can we do that? And also, please, do you have a format that you can also share with us?
Okay, so I think, yeah, it's absolutely perfectly reasonable to be great if you can put your LinkedIn profile on your CV and also your GitHub link. That's absolutely great. We can look into sending a format, you know, like a template CV to the group. So we could do that later on today for you.
Right, thank you. Thank you so much.
That answers your question? Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Okay. And so, you know, like we said, like LinkedIn is used for sharing and creating content as well as growing your community. And like I said, you know, it's a place that you can find job opportunities, but also showcase your skills, join discussions with industry experts, and then promote your brand. Now, in the very beginning, when I joined LinkedIn, I was actually very shy. Those who've met me in person think, how was she ever shy about putting her sort of 2 pennies worth on LinkedIn? So it is quite scary to kind of like, you know, kind of get involved. But like I said, you know, find a small group of people that you're feeling comfortable with, you feel like you've got shared interests. The Nurture alumni page, which you all should be engaged with by now, is definitely a great place to start, to kind of do those baby steps and start asking questions, start sharing content. That's a really safe space to be, because you know, that's our page. So if you start doing that on there, we would love to see more engagement on our alumni page. And that's one of our objectives, is to really kind of build that community and that interaction. So you'd really be helping us by getting involved, but I think it's a great place for you to kind of take those first steps into engaging with your network. But then there are also data leaders on there. So, oh, that's not me. Oh.
Hey, Golden, can you just mute your mic for us, please? That'd be great.
Okay. So Nick, is that you now? Is that me? Oh no, it's me. So it is essential that your profile showcases your expertise, your experience, and shows your skill set. So there are some pointers. Here are some pointers to kind of increase your profile's visibility. So adding a profile picture. And there's been a funny kind of GIF on LinkedIn where you have a different picture for LinkedIn, one for Tinder and one for Instagram and one for Facebook. So make sure it's an appropriate picture that's kind of put you in a good light, but make sure, you know, somewhere where you're smiling and you're kind of like, you know, friendly and approachable. I think nothing too serious, like you don't want to, you know, look like you're, you know, beyond someone's reach in order to be able to kind of connect with you. And people that've got a picture, research shows that there are 14 times more likely to view your page if you have a photo. It's the same with being on video. So if you're on a call, on a Teams call, on a Zoom call with a client, or you know, with anybody, then it's always best to put your camera on, show your face. If you've got a bad connection, then obviously you can turn your camera back off, but it's always good to start that meeting. Yes, I think we've got a hand up. Do you want to go ahead, ask a question? Hello?
Hi, this is Barry. Can you hear me?
Not very well.
Oh,
there we go. Now it's better. Yes. Hello.
Yes. Sorry, I have a question regarding CV headline. Because you know, we are in the data science, and data science is related to different fields as well. Like some have data analysis, data engineering, machine learning. So, which is the most appropriate headline to cover all these fields? Because some people have different expertise in all of these fields. So how to cope with this one in this situation? Like someone has a data engineering expertise, and and he has also data analysis expertise, and also he possesses some expertise in data science. So how to cope with this one, and how to set in this scenario a good headline?
Okay, so Mike. Okay, I'll let Jazz speak.
Oh, Lucy, no, sorry,
No,
I didn't
no,
mean
go
to
ahead.
interrupt.
Go
I
ahead.
just think it's it just caught my interest there, that question. I think it's really important for the community of people on the call, how the market perceives your skill sets. And it's very important to understand that, you know, there are different functions to what contributes to making a successful data transformation for a business. Certainly, you need to be very clear about what it is that you want to do as a function, because what won't be easy for you is if that you try to position yourself as all three of those functions you just mentioned. So whilst I think we appreciate that data engineering, data science, whether it's machine learning or data architecture, for example, all share a common set of skill sets and requirements from industry, the industry wants to understand where you are a specialist. So on your profile, if your aspirations are to be a data scientist, there will be an expectation that you have strong data analysis. There will be an expectation that you are able to perform the function of a data engineer. There will be an expectation that you understand cloud architecture or on-premise systems. But that doesn't mean that you should position yourself and your profile as someone that has all of these skills and is an expert in all of those areas, because the way organizational design works in the industry is that data teams are being set up in not silos, but they work alongside each other. So you will have a team of expert data engineers, you will have a team of architects, you'll have a team of data analysts. If you go out to market and you say that you are good at all of these things, the customers on the other end won't feel confident that you're an expert in one of those areas. So I strongly advise, you know, that at this point in your career that you work out what route you want to take as you move forward. I just wanted to put that, I think it's very, very important, because there is a lot of confusion in industry and it causes a lot of concern when people are trying to recruit people with your skill sets. Over to you, back over to you, Lucy.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Jez, for the input on that. Yeah, does that help you?
Yes, yeah.
Thank
you.
Okay.
Much clear now.
Okay, good. And Junaid, do you have a question?
No, I just asked my question. I got my answer now.
We also have a hand up from Massey.
Oh, okay, sorry. Confused with the hands up.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I hope you're doing well, and thank you. I do appreciate for this workshop. Actually, my question is about the relevant experience. If we don't have enough relevant experience, we should just cover up with certificate, LinkedIn certificate, and something like that. Am I right? Because I don't know, is it appropriate just by cover up the certificate or not? I'm really worried about this issue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you know, obviously, you know, when you're a junior, if you don't have relevant data industry experience, and obviously if you coming from university and then you're going straight into your masters and you've not worked in industry, then, you know, that's absolutely reasonable for the you know, the future employee is going to understand that, because they'll see that from your CV you don't have the relevant industry experience. However, you can provide, you know, like the courses and different LinkedIn learnings that you are aspiring to obtain those through different means. And I think, you know, until you start working in the job, in the industry, it's very hard to kind of like get that foot on the ladder, which is obviously why the nurture program is helpful, because it gives you that kind of springboard to then cite that experience. Obviously you don't want to, you know, you don't want to make up any kind of untruths about what you've been doing, right? So you want to obviously be transparent and honest. And I think, you know, if you're applying, you need to apply for the right level of job, right? So you don't want to apply for a senior role that needs, you know, 5 or 7 years experience when you're a fresher coming from university. So you need to pitch to your strengths, right? And then obviously there will be employers out there that will also want to invest in you on your potential and the promise of what you can deliver, with some careful nurturing and, you know, careful guidance and mentoring. Do you have anything else to add on that, Jez?
Thank you.
No, I don't actually, Lucy. I think it's some really good advice. You should never, not say lie, but you shouldn't exaggerate the truth on your profile. I think the key here, you know, I'll come on to it in a bit, but, you know, I've had my own daughter who's starting a career. She's still at school at the moment, but she's doing a little bit of work here and there. But I think it's important to be truthful at this point in time. If you've done any personal development, or if you have these skills certifications, things like that, put them on. But outside of that, I think that's some really sound advice that Lucy's given.
Okay, great. And Tracy, you've got a question?
Yeah, hi. So I wanted to ask, just kind of like to add on to what my colleagues just asked, if you've had some experience. So for example, my undergraduate degree was in human resource management, and I've worked in that for a while before starting my master's in data science. How would you advise that I portray that on my LinkedIn? Would you say I should leave out the HR experience completely, or? No,
I mean, before I worked with Eden Smith, I had worked as an account manager. I'd shipped oil around the world. I used to work in an animal charity as a customer service manager. I didn't leave any of that off my profile. That was in there. There are transferable skills, which Nick has alluded to previously. There are skills that you can take from, even if working in Starbucks or in a warehouse. There are skills that you can transfer that are relatable, right? Some of those skills. And so, yeah, I think HR, having a career in HR is a worthy contributor, and there are lots and lots of great jobs that are coming where actually people would want that experience. And then obviously there are people that are transitioning from HR to then go into data science. So I think it's absolutely valuable that you put that on there. And then you just need to tell the story. It's all about how you telling the story. Like, you imagine when you're going to be, a data scientist, and you've got your data set, you tell the story. When you're on LinkedIn, you need to tell your story. How did you get from here to here? And the academics will tell you at the university, it's never about the destination. So it's never about that viral hit and going crazy. It's always about the journey in between. What did you learn? What were the challenges? How did you get from there to here? What were the resilience, tools and techniques that you had to adapt and, help to really qualify yourself on? Does that help, Tracy?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so where were we? So we're talking about pictures, we're talking about a catchy, job headline and summary to showcase your skills and achievements. So you obviously can have a look at our LinkedIn profiles and see, I think you'll see on there, I've got my, kind of byline, which is, bridging the gap between academia and industry. I literally say that probably 100 times a day to different people. And even, when I go to the shops and to Sainsbury's and someone asks me what I do, I say that. So you kind of want to find the thing that kind of like makes you. Gathering endorsements on your profile when you've gone through the nurture program. I'll do endorsements and give testimonials for students, and then obviously students also will reciprocate and do testimonials for the nurture team as well, obviously for the help and support over the last year. And we also can act as a point of reference for when you are applying for jobs as well. And then also, requesting recommendations from previous teachers and employers that you might worked with before, and they can also write about how much they've enjoyed working with you, even if it's not relevant to the data industry. They'll be really, touching upon those soft skills and those skills that, captivated them in the time that you're working with them. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we're going to be moving on to some tips and tricks. Now, a lot of what we've spoken, we'll speak about here, Krista's touched on in her part as well. So it's a great opportunity for us to reiterate some of those points too. So when you are on LinkedIn, use your time to comment and react to other people's posts. That's going to start to build the algorithm, and that's going to support pushing your content to the top of their feed and to the top of other people's feeds as well, because it sees that you're active. You can use visual content, so a photo or a video will capture people's attention. I recently learned as well that you can start to push PDFs on LinkedIn, and actually they come through as visuals so that people can then see those PDFs as well. And because there aren't as many PDFs shared, the LinkedIn algorithm will naturally push those to the top of people's news feeds, so they're seen a little bit more often as well. And we've got here looking at the metrics. Now we're going to take a look at some of Lucy's metrics off a recent post that she sent out. Now, Lucy, I'm going to just throw back to you quickly here just to talk about Mohammed and his great success with his summer project with National Highways.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mohammed is absolutely brilliant from the get-go. This is a guy that had been working in Molton Brown in Manchester in the Bath and Home store, and he wanted to be a data scientist. He came from, a good technical background, but had got a job to kind of, help, obviously, pay the bills. And he had been doing his 1-year master's on the side. Now, from the very moment that I met him, I completely was engaged with him. He was very warm, personable person, and he very much wanted to do the right thing. He was always like one of those very studious guys that wanted to do everything and more. He was always asking me questions, and he was very curious about what he could do to improve himself. What kind of advice could I give him? When we put out all the projects for the Nurture program, he booked in some time to talk to me, and he wanted my opinion and my advice on where did he think that he would be best placed. And it wasn't all about how he could secure a job for the future. It was very much about how could he showcase his skills? Which employee did I think that he would be best married to for those 3 months? And what I liked about Mohammed, that he was a very, just such a kind and courteous guy, and he was very, very respectful, and he really wanted the best for himself and his career, but he never sacrificed, quality over quantity. And I think he's a very thoughtful individual. Now, he has had such an amazing success story. So he got a job as a data engineer, which is one of the first projects we've done in data engineering with Highways England. It was a relatively new client, although they had just also hired from our previous cohort. So they took Mohammed, and he was working at a band 2 in their infrastructure. And he did a project, they changed the project. He had to be really versatile and adaptive and resourceful and very, very patient. We almost had to get an extension for his dissertation because there was a massive time lag of when he got the data. At all times, he conducted himself in the most professional and amazing manner that, I was just so impressed with him. So he bowled over the team, and he worked extremely hard. He delivered a fantastic project. He handed his dissertation in on time, and I don't think he slept for like the last 3 days before he handed his dissertation in, because he didn't want to he didn't want to take the extension which I had put into place for him, because it was not his fault that these things had happened. It was on the side of the client. The client was very supportive throughout the 3 months, and they really, really appreciated and saw the value of his abilities. And then they offered him a band 6 role as a lead data engineer at Highways England. So that has absolutely skyrocketed his career into that industry, and Highways are absolutely just really, really super happy with their engagement with the Nurture program, and they're really happy with the way that they've now got this fantastic talent working permanently in their business. Now, the other thing that Mohammed did was that he asked me, he phoned me on my birthday actually, to tell me he'd got the job, which was the best present ever. But he also, what he did was that he didn't share on LinkedIn, and he asked me to share it first. And he said, would you do a post? I will then share it to my network, but I want you to be the one to put it out there, because you're the one that helped me achieve this, which is a really kind and gracious thing for him to do. So I did the post. And I put it out on a Friday afternoon because I'd had so much going on. I felt like I hadn't got the right algorithm because I hadn't posted it between 2 and like 8 and 10 on a Tuesday or Thursday. It was a Friday afternoon, and I was like, oh God. But I wrote it with my heart, and I really wanted to see what happened. So we had a really fabulous response. And at the time, we had just over 3,000 views, which is one of my best sort of contents for putting on a post on LinkedIn. And I think, Nick, you can take over from there.
Yeah, for sure. So you can see here when you are looking at these metrics, actually who your post is hitting. That's going to give you an understanding of who your audience is. So then when you are building content for your profile, you might then start to have that in mind as to who it is targeting. So then starting to build that targeted audience. Now, do remember, though, when we go back to Krista's point, it's not just about the data at the start. Just keep building and building and building before we get to stage here. LinkedIn is also great because you get the groups on there. There's so many groups for data on LinkedIn, and there's so many professionals as part of those groups that you'll be able to cast polls and posts that are going to garner comments that really you can engage an audience with and really delve into their experience and their knowledge by involving yourself in those groups. And just like you would on your own posts and other people's posts, post and comment on people's posts in those groups as well. Writing articles. Now, you would have seen in our previous workshops, we shared some of the articles that were previously written by some Eden Smith employees, and today is no different. We're going to be sharing this post here from Rachel, who's one of our staffing members, who you would have seen some of her contributions in our staffing feedback section earlier. Now, this is a superb article that talks all about discussions that you may have as talented data professionals with recruiters when you do step out of your masters and into that big wide world. Would definitely encourage you guys to scan this now or scan it when we send the presentation through later and give this a read, because it's going to give you a lot of information that's going to give you success when you are job hunting, getting your CV out the door and trying to build those connections as well. So we've come to this section. Obviously, you guys will know Krista filled in earlier and completed her part. So I am going to hand over to Lucy here to introduce Jez. You had a fantastic introduction earlier. So I'm going to give you the wheels for that again.
Okay, all right. So Jez Clark, who is our amazing co-founder and CEO of Eden Smith, who I've had the pleasure of working with for the last 5 years, who gave me an opportunity and I think really invested in my potential. For that, I'm forever grateful, because he landed me into the middle of the fourth industrial revolution and I had no idea about the data world. I was still watching Teletubbies and doing Peppa Pig with my kids, and had no idea that there was this tremendous industry that is so collaborative and welcoming, that I felt, after I got rid of my imposter syndrome, that I could actually have a really good role to play and a valuable role to play in helping young data professionals start their career. So for that, I'll hand over to Jez and he'll have some words of wisdom to help you students on your merry way for being fantastic data leaders of the future. There you go, Jez.
Wow, don't think I've ever been introduced like that, Lucy. But really, the credit isn't all ours. It's really, it's a big pleasure to be on this call, and I do want to just sound out that you know, Lucy's done an incredible job with this program since joining Eden Smith. I don't think that, you know, I had in my aspirations and dreams that it would be where it is today. And now it's Lucy and Nick, and they make a fabulous team. And I think I'm really impressed with the amount of work that's been put in to making the Nurture program a success, and also, you know, just being part of this workshop and listening for the last 20 minutes. What I'd like to say to everybody on the call is that this is absolutely invaluable information. It's very current, it's very relevant, and there are some things in here that if you apply this following, you know, the completion of your masters, etc., it will certainly help you. So well done, guys, because I think this is brilliant. I really do, and there's nothing on here that you've said that I don't agree with, and there's really not that much I can add to it. But there was a couple of things, I guess, from the position that I come from as a founder of the business, and a very, I would say, finger on the pulse with what industry wants. It kind of springs me on to why did we start the program in the first place? Now, I have 2 children of my own. I know how hard it was when I first found my first job, if you like. And having seen the statistics over the last 10-15 years of how things have changed, I'm fully aware of the extra efforts that are required for anybody to find their first new employer. It's not easy. So when we started the Nurture program, it really was to get behind the back of how can we help you as a community actually, you know, help you springboard into employment. How can we get you prepared? What do you need to do to get there, especially in the data industry where it's a skill scarce market? So, you know, whilst there's a huge demand for your skills, certainly in data science, but also the other areas that support data transformation, it's still not easy when you come out. Don't just think that you're going to come out and find a job, right? So our purpose and what Lucy and Nick have built is to help you get there a lot quicker. That was purely what sits behind it. You know, how can I make the journey of my own son and daughter a lot easier and get into industry? What can we do? And we can only help you by facilitating and delivering information like Lucy and Nick do, coordination of a program, supporting you at the beginning, in the middle and through the end to help you there. After that, it's down to you. And I think that's my big message today, right? So why did we start it? Basically to help you find employment and to support you on that journey. But one of the big things I wanted to say was, what is it that customers look for? So, you know, just because there's a skills shortage, it doesn't mean that there aren't people that can actually do these jobs, right? So if you go for when you come out of university and, you know, there's advertisements for data science opportunities, don't think for 1 second you're going to be one of 3 candidates. It's not going to work like that at all. There'll probably be lots and lots of candidates, especially with new restrictions lax slightly, you know, the additional 2-year working visa for students as well, which is brilliant. But, you know, that's great for you as an individual, but it also means that it's much more competitive market. So I don't think any of this is going to be easy. And what you need to understand is that, you know, why the CV profile writing is so vital. Now, being a business owner myself and speaking to many other business owners and very senior people in companies up to enterprise level, you know, when they get 10, 15, 20 profiles on their desk, how much time do you think they've actually got to read through them all? And I can honestly tell you that they probably don't get past the first quarter of the page of a CV. And this is the truth. So, you know, your task is to make that first half page as attractive as possible. It's really, really important, because if they get to that part and they're quite happy with what they've read and it's clear and concise and it says what your aspirations are and what you want to do and what your key skills are, then they'll move on to the rest regarding your interests. And now, you know, some of you won't have any work experience at all, so therefore that personal profile has to be really, really attractive. You know, I want to know a little bit about you. Your writing style has to be nice and clear and concise. Like I say, you know, it's got to attract me and draw me in. The ability to be a salesperson can be what holds a lot of people back. And certainly in an industry like yours, or the data industry in itself, you know, not everybody's a good salesperson. And some of the most intelligent people in the whole world aren't very good salespeople. And hence, this is one of the reasons they don't get paid as much as other people that are great salespeople that are perhaps not as highly skilled. It's because it's how they position themselves and how they market themselves. So I can't emphasize enough on this call, you know, your personal brand, your LinkedIn profile, your CV, how that reads in that first half page is absolutely critical, because customers do not have time to read full 2, 3, 10-page CVs. It doesn't work like that. So all of the information that's been shared on here is absolutely vital. If you do have work experience, and there was a question earlier whether you should showcase that, absolutely you should. Right? Don't underestimate the value of soft skills and the value of any work experience that you might have had. It is a fact at the moment that within most universities and training academies and organisations, they don't cover enough soft skills and to train you in that. So anything you can do around networking, any experience that you can display where you've been actually in a working environment, this is critical, because it means that you've communicated and worked alongside other colleagues. You've perhaps dealt with some conflicts. You've perhaps dealt with weathering a storm when a business hasn't been great. You know, you've actually had interaction. You know how to tell a story, and that's all part of data science anyway. Because once you get into a position of data science, and the more senior you get, part of your job will be to be moving around and speaking to different stakeholders in the company. So if you've done that in another job, then that's a win for you. So definitely make sure you showcase that. So they're kind of 3 of the top things that I wanted to just bring out. The other thing I wanted to say was that the job market itself is increasingly difficult anyway. It's challenging due to economic uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen out there, so be prepared for that. My big message to this community is make the extra effort. You have to make the extra effort. If you think that these employment opportunities are going to come to you, they're not. All right, it's as simple as that. It doesn't matter how well skilled you are. We've got thousands of people that are in our community and on our database. It's those that make the extra effort, on their profiles, that go to networking events, the meetups, that join LinkedIn groups, that post regularly through LinkedIn about their skills, right? They're the ones that become visible. So please do listen to everything that Lucy and Nick and Krista have said. Another thing is about your own personal development. Don't expect customers to take the responsibility of increasing or developing your own skill set, even when you're there, right? As a business owner, if I see that someone's been learning there or taking the time out to do courses, LinkedIn online learning, YouTube training, whatever it might be, constantly do stuff like that. If there's any free certifications you can go through that are relevant to your skill set, you know, whether it's about communication skills, they're all very relevant. And the very fact that you're making the effort to do that will go a very long way with a future employer. On a brighter note, the global data analytics market is expected to grow at least 13% year on year, currently about 260 billion globally, hoping to get to 568 billion by the year 2028. So look, the future is bright. Please do make those efforts. Please do reach out to Lucy and Nick, and I'm more than happy to take any questions in the future. And I do wish you all the very best. I think it's great. It's really, really good to see such a good attendance. So that's all I've got to say, guys. And yeah, go for it.
Thank you very much, Des. Wonderful. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you. Yeah, so I think that was our last. Oh no, we have another slide, Nick, do we? We do.
So just some questions here. Yeah, so an opportunity for you guys to be able to jump in and ask questions. And we do have some words of wisdom from our whole staff and team to share with you as well. We appreciate we've gone beyond 11, but if anyone does want to stick around and ask questions, then please do.
I have to jump, guys. I've got another call. Take care.
See you, Jez.
Bye-bye.
All right, okay, I will assume I haven't seen any hands go up there, no mics come on. Guys, if there are any questions, don't hesitate to email us or drop us a line. What we do have here are some words of wisdom from our staffing team. Now, again, I'm not going to read through these, but when we do send this presentation out to you, take the moment to just go through these, because we've got members of staff, full-time members of staff, whose job it is to help data professionals and to help them by building their CV and building their profile, getting them in the room for conversation. So these kind of notes and this information is gold dust. Please don't overlook it.
Anything else, Nick?
No, nothing from me at all, guys. You've got our email, you've got our LinkedIn. If you haven't got us on LinkedIn, then add us now. Thanks very much for everyone's attention and your time, and we'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.